Hi everyone. So I'm from University Putra Malaysia, Foundation of Agricultural Science. My name is Fong Yen Bin. So today my topic will be water and nutrient uptake for the plant. So without further ado, let's just straight away go into our topic. So for water and mineral uptake, first we'll look at water uptake first. For water uptake of the plant, they are greatly divided into two main parts, which is the first, by taking water between the porous cell wall and then force into endodermal cell by Casparian strip. If you have ever learned about the knowledge about plant cell before, you might remember that the way of transportation of water that consists of three main parts. One is by the transpirational pool, one is by the capillary action, and one is by the root pressure. So Casparian strip, if you have ever learned about root pressure, you should learn that Casparian strip is the main reason that why root pressure has been exerted. So just as a brief introduction, Casparian strip is a waterproof strips which embedded by lignin. Therefore, it's a very strong protection as a boundary of endodermal and the cortex region. The second method for water uptake is through root hair. So water will pass through the cell across the cortex and endodermis via cytoplasmic strand within plasmodesmata. For your information, plasmodesmata is the channel between adjacent cell, so that any substance that need to be transported across the cell can pass through directly through plasmodesmata. And it can be even called as one type of special protein, which is called the junction protein, if you have ever learned about that. Next, we will look at general principle of transportation of water and mineral. For water, the general transportation method is by using the concept of osmotic pressure. So water will enter root cell when their osmotic pressure is lower than the soil. Just for your general information, usually the concentration of salt in the root hair is 100,000 times greater than the soil. Therefore, the osmotic pressure at the soil will be higher than the root. This is because the content of water at the soil is higher than the root hair cell as comparative. Therefore, this can drive all those water into the root hair cell without using any energy. In contrast with the transportation of water, which doesn't need any kind of energy, the transportation of mineral can be either active or passive, which means that they need energy to transport when they are actively transported, while they don't need energy when they are passively transported. This method will help them to take the mineral by the plant cell and then transport in the xylem along with water. So the mechanism to transport water and nutrient is as follows. First, we knew that plant cell use energy to actively take up and concentrate mineral ions. This can help to build up the osmotic pressure gradient between root hair cell and the soil. Then the Casparian strip prevent the backflow of mineral and allow root xylem, or what we call as the cylinder, to have a higher mineral concentration than the soil. This is because Casparian strip is waterproof, as I have mentioned just now. Therefore, water that flows into the xylem of the stem can be prevented from backflowing back into the root because of the osmotic pressure. The mechanism of active transportation of mineral from the soil into the root hair cell is as follows. A plasma membrane proton pumps can transport hydrogen ions out of the cell. And electrochemical gradient can drive those positive ions such as potassium ions into the cell. Negative charged mineral ions such as nitrate or phosphate ion are transported with hydrogen ion by carrier protein. No energy is required when hydrogen ion is moving down its concentration gradient. We now can take a look with this diagram and have a better intuition of what the whole concept is. So, if you can see, hydrogen ion, which is initially in the root hair cell, can be actively pumped out into the soil. This can create a higher concentration of positive charge or cationic at the soil, and therefore they need, in order to achieve the equilibrium, those positively charged ion will flow through the carrier protein into the root hair cell. And meanwhile, while those positive ion flows into the root hair cell, negative ions such as nitrates or phosphate will follow the positive ion into the root hair cell. This can explain the whole mechanism of why and how the mineral can be actively and passively transported into the root hair, which can broadly categorize as positive ion being transported actively out of the cell and passively into the cell, while negative ion is just passively transport from outside the cell into the cell under the influence of hydrogen ion. This is all of my presentation, and thank you.